Good evening and welcome to NNX, where we give you campus news faster than you can eat a bowl of mac and cheese. I'm Liz Castello.
And I'm Logan Schijano. Let's dive right into tonight's stories. Northwestern researchers are helping develop a new COVID-19 nasal spray designed to protect individuals from serious infection. But how does it work? NNN's Julia Richardson takes us into the lab.
Researchers at Northwestern using a new protein to attack COVID-19 head-on.
It's completely designed from scratch, one which I just find fascinating.
Along with scientists at the University of Washington and Washington University at St. Louis, researchers in Dr. Michael Jewett's lab are developing a new nasal spray to block COVID's ability to infect cells.
The vision of this effort was to create antiviral protein-based therapeutics that could maintain potency, that could still work, that could still neutralize the virus, even under the selective pressure and evolution of the virus that's been occurring.
The existing antiviral therapies may work for select variants of the virus, but do not target the spike protein.
The spike protein is one of the ones that's under the most evolutionary pressure. It's the one that has been changing the most rapidly in the virus.
To start the project, the researchers modeled proteins on a computer.
Someone actually looked at the shape of the spike protein, and then they said, aha, if I want to block it or coat the spike protein in some way to prevent this interaction, what would the complementary shape need to look like? Kind of like a lock and a key.
Because this therapy is designed from scratch, it has more potential for accessibility than other methods.
Our proteins can be made much more cheaply and hopefully at a much larger scale.
The spray acts as a method to prevent disease and as a way to mitigate symptoms in those who have already contracted COVID-19.
The more people that are infected, just, mathematically, there's just a much higher chance that some new mutation is going to arise. And so our best bet is really to prevent and treat it everywhere.
And medical professionals like Ozer say they are hopeful.
I definitely welcome any new therapeutics that might be beneficial and effective and can be especially if they can be easily administered.
And Julia joins us now in the studio. Julia, what should people expect in the development of this COVID spray moving forward?
Yeah, so the spray has currently only been tested on mice and is in its preclinical stage, but Andrew Hunt told me that researchers hope the spray is in phase 1 by the end of this year, but he also said it's moved beyond the lab at this point, is in the hands of other collaborators who are figuring out how it could actually be administered.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Julia. Liz, back to you.
Thanks, Logan. In recent weeks, student violence at Haven Middle School in Evanston, Skokie District 65 has sent 2 people to the hospital. In the most recent incident, a fight between students led to a music teacher being shoved to the ground. This week, Haven faculty gathered before the school to stand in solidarity with a hospitalized teacher and hall monitor in response to the acts of violence.
What are you doing? Not what are you theorizing, not what are you planning, not what are you lecturing, what are you doing right now?
Neither Haven's principal nor the Board of Education president responded to NNN's request for comment.
Northwestern Students for Justice in Palestine, or NUSJP, is organizing community events in support of Palestine. Last Saturday, the club held a vigil at the Rock. The event included speeches, poems, and prayers. NUSJP students also read the names of Palestinians affected by the violence, followed by a moment of silence. The event is in response to an attack that took place last Friday in which Israeli Defense Forces raided the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Palestinian medics told Reuters that over 50 people were injured.
I think regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of what race, religion, ethnicity you come from, it's very important to remember that at the end of the day, there are humans.
Israeli police officials said the raid was in response to people throwing rocks and fireworks close to the Western Wall, where Jewish worship was underway. Liz?
Thanks, Logan. Fostering a sense of community is always important, and speaking of community, we are 24 days away from the first in-person Dillo Day in 3 years, and preparations are ramping up. For undergraduates, wristbands are free and now available for registration. Each student can invite one guest, but must pay a $15 fee. The wristbands are sold on a first-come, first-served basis, and Evanston residents can get their own for $25. This Thursday, student musicians will compete in the Battle of the Artists. The winner gets a spot on the Dillo Day main stage.
But Dillo Day isn't the only tradition returning to campus. The Waa-Mu Show is back and better than ever. The annual tradition is returning for its 91st performance. A student theater favorite, the Wamyu Show is an original musical written and produced entirely by Northwestern students. Following 2 years of online performances, this show will be fully in person. It opens this Friday at 7:30 in Kahn Auditorium.
So for me, this isn't actually being back in Kahn Auditorium, it's just being in Kahn Auditorium. I'd heard of the magic of this space. It's so closely intertwined to the Wamyu organization and the show itself that just being able to be here has been so phenomenal.
And Wamyu producer Madeline Oberly joins us now. Madeline, thanks so much for joining us. You know, as a producer yourself in a very large show, what advice do you have to others who are aspiring to get into the producing role?
My biggest piece of advice would be to do as much as you can to learn about everything in terms of the production. I've never produced before the Wamyu Show, but I had enough experience to help me out along the way. And it also gives you such a great appreciation for all the aspects of the work that goes into making a show.
And like you said, you have put so much work into this show and you know it very well. What do you want audience members to take away after they watch the show this weekend?
I think especially this year, being our first time back in Kahn Auditorium in 3 years, is really just for audiences to take away how impressive all of these student artists are. So much talent in this space, and I can't wait for you all to see it.
Well, thanks so much for coming, and to all of you guys in the production, hope you break a leg this weekend.
Thank you.
Oakton Community College is rolling out a new program educating students about the cannabis industry in hopes of promoting social equity. NNN's Lily Wolfson has all the details.
After months of construction, the first certified in-state cannabis cultivation lab is open here at Oakton Community College for students to learn about cannabis botany and the industry right here in this facility.
Students get to work in a state-of-the-art facility that's like something they would see in industry, so when they get to a place, it's not going to be anything new.
Students learn about the life cycle of cannabis, how to care for the plants, and the business of dispensaries, all to prepare them for a growing industry.
By starting out now and getting a head start, we're going to be in a great position moving forward.
The lab is a collaboration with PharmaCann, a Chicago organization seeking to educate people about the industry who have been discriminated against due to cannabis laws.
The partnership was born from our desire to want to support social equity in the state and to do that through education.
Beyond education, employment is the goal.
How can we make it so that when students come out of this program, they have a place to land?
With hands-on experience in the facility, students will have a leg up when they graduate and search for jobs.
They have the potential for working their way up because they have that extra knowledge and experience.
For instructors, social equity in the industry takes precedence.
Instead of like a bunch of people being condemned for cannabis possession or distribution, now people can get training and good jobs and have like better futures.
PharmaCann is looking into expanding into more local community colleges within the Chicagoland area. Logan, I think it's so cool that they're implementing social equity initiatives in the cannabis industry.
Yeah, it's really great to see so much outreach. And thanks to Lily Wolfson for all of her reporting. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks so much for watching.
Stay tuned for the Northwestern News Report coming up next. I'm Liz Castillo.
And I'm Logan Schijano. Have a great night.